What if I told you that the only thing that you need to scale a brand past $1 million a month faster than any other path was one simple system? More specifically, a simple system that you can repeat every single day, regardless of external volatility or fluctuations, may cause us to get a bit of emotional when we're hitting these upper echelons of scaling a business. Now, I know you might see a lot of people on YouTube breaking down crazy complex diagrams and Miro boards. As Albert Einstein says, if you can't break down a complex concept into simple terms, you don't understand it at all. And I believe that to be true. Or another one you might have heard is simple scales, fancy fails. And when you're scaling a business that fast, you need a simple system that scales. Now, I'm about to hand you the keys to a battle-tested system that's been tested across over $25 million in meta ad spend over the last few years, and it's responsible for over $100 million in client revenue. It's been battle-tested over 115 different brands, not all of them doing $1 million a month, transparently, but there's been a few specific ones that we've reached that milestone for, and these are the commonalities that must be in place in order to hit that target. And today you're going to get the full playbook on how to exactly implement the system into your direct-to-consumer business so you can scale your brand past $1 million a month as fast as possible. Now, before I hand you this system, I want to tell you a little story around what a really good system looks like, because this is important fundamental knowledge that we're going to build the concept on top of. So, back in the 1940s, two brothers in California, Dick and Mac, running an average little drive-through burger shop in California, making average money. Restaurant business model very, very hard to crack for anyone that's been in that business model. Then in 1948, they reiterated the whole concept around one simple thing: speed. And focusing on that one specific thing allowed them to iterate the model from taking raw ingredients to a final burger from 30 minutes to 30 seconds. The burger recipe stayed the same. They didn't change anything about the recipe. They didn't change their location. All they did was create a repeatable, simple kitchen process that anyone could follow and repeat over and over again to get the same inputs, achieve the same output. Then a businessman named Ray Kroc came along and saw that the value wasn't actually in the burgers that they were creating. There's probably hundreds of restaurants in the same vicinity, but it was actually in the system that they were able to create that had predictable inputs, create a predictable output. That's what allowed McDonald's to scale to the conglomerate it is today, rolling the same repeatable process across hundreds of locations. And the system is the thing that allowed McDonald's to grow into what it is today, an extremely valuable company. It's exactly what private equity companies look for. It's exactly what investment firms look for. It's exactly what people who do roll-ups. And if you're ever trying to exit a direct-to-consumer brand, or even bring in a team that's able to take off the processes off you as the founder, the director, the CMO, then it's critical that you have a process in place. So what a real system looks like is a plan or a repeatable series of processes or steps that anyone can replicate to get the results that you get. And that's exactly what I'm trying to give you the keys to today. Being able to scale a direct-to-consumer brand past $1 million a month using paid advertising as the vehicle of growth. Now, step number one that you need to have dialed to the decimal is knowing your numbers, and more specifically, your allowable NCAC, or new customer acquisition cost. Understanding your ceiling or your threshold that you're able to spend to acquire a new customer is the single most important metric in understanding how fast we can throttle to $1 million a month in revenue. What this number indicates is how much can we spend to buy new customers through advertising channels before we start losing money or our money model breaks. Now, there's two buckets that we traditionally see when scaling. The first one is if you have investor capital, which allows you to throttle spend a little bit harder if you're going on an aggressive market share growth or market share takeover. Usually we see brands pushing all the way up to breaking even on third purchase or 90-day value of a customer. And I'll break down exactly what that looks like in a minute. The second one is if you're a bit more bootstrapped and you're trying to create a profitable reinvestment cycle, then you're essentially trying to take the profit from the first order to reinvest and to buy the next cohort of customers. How you find your NCAC or your new customer acquisition cost ceiling is by understanding what your business model can support, what allowable cash you can deploy to grab that new customer from an advertising channel. All right, let's run a specific example for the first model, which is if you have big cash reserves, you're a big brand, say you're doing $500K a month already, or you have investor capital. Let's say your average order value is $100. Your average customer buys 3 times over a 180-day cycle, and your gross margin is 70%. Your revenue per customer is $300, but your gross profit is $210. Now, running on that model, your allowable CAC ceiling, not taking into consideration any other variable costs, if you're gonna run truly on gross profit, then we have $210 to acquire that new customer. Because we know the more we can spend to to acquire a customer, we win in the bidding or the auction cycle on ad systems. We're able to throttle spend much further than someone that's capping themselves out at say $60. So if I'm a brand and I can spend up to $210 to acquire a customer, then me or the growth operator, the person that's running the ad accounts, the person that's actually responsible for the growth, can be a lot more creative and aggressive with their new customer acquisition. And this is what a lot of big brands are using, and this is why we can ramp so incredibly fast. You need to know your lifetime value to the T, which you can pull through Shopify data. And this is how bigger brands dominate the auction on all ad platforms, is they know they can keep spending and spending and spending when the little brands start capping out. The alternative scenario, which is the second example which I gave, is if you're trying to use profit to pay back that cycle. Let's say we're trying to run profit on first order. Your margins are still 70% on a $100 AOV, same as the first scenario. That means your gross margin is $70 per order. Let's say you want to make $30 profit per order. And this is what a lot of small brands get wrong and why they can't scale, is that gives you $40 to acquire a customer. And any advanced marketer that's run a lot of ad accounts knows capping yourself out at $40 to acquire a customer works great at the start. You can move really fast. If you have a creative that wins, you can do that. But as you start scaling up past 5K, 10K a day in ad spend, that model breaks very, very fast, and it puts a lot of pressure on the front end customer acquisition system, as opposed to relying on the back end retention system that a really good product, really good repeat purchase rate actually allows you to hold. And this is the difference in mindsets of how scaling fast is purely built on your customer acquisition process. The difference between an incredible media buyer or advertiser versus someone that doesn't really know what they're doing, or the theory that founders, just can get in the ad account and learn it in a few quick steps now, is just completely wrong. So investing in someone that knows exactly what they're doing, how to build your unit economic model for scale for your specific scenario. There's so many other variables that come into this, but knowing your allowable CAC is incredibly important for scaling as fast as possible in the direct-to-consumer game. And I hope that gives you a bit of a clarity on the levels of this that different brands are playing on. Step number 2 is capital deployment. Now that we know how much we're willing to spend to grab a customer, we need to know where are we even going to get these people from. Now, traditionally, marketing spend would be deployed on TV, newspaper, radio. We've now evolved to the digital age where everyone kind of knows Meta and Google Ads are the biggest uplift channels where you're going to get the most bang for your buck. If you're a brand already, you'd be already significantly investing in these channels. It is where you get the most growth and the biggest opportunity to scale incredibly fast. You should not be diversifying outside of those channels unless you have a very strong case for going and investing in, say, like TikTok, YouTube, these other channels, because as we said, we want to keep this system simple, repeatable, and focused effort. Specifically in the ad account, you need to have your columns set up so that you can very quickly identify if you're above or below your ceiling on NCAC or your customer acquisition costs. This is like your pilot's dashboard for understanding if you are on path for growth or if you're about to nosedive and crash and burn all your capital. It is incredibly important to have your finger on the pulse of exactly when you're hitting this on a daily level. You should have automation set up so you're getting pinged on Slack or on notifications if anything starts blowing out above your customer acquisition cost threshold. The third piece is the creative system on what assets or creative infrastructure are we going to deploy that capital on that's going to get us the return or get us the customers below our threshold. Now, after over $25 million in ad spend, we have meticulously analyzed what the best ads look like that get the strongest ROI across every single niche. And we've come up with our own system called the demand engine, which allows us to predictably scale cold traffic and buy new customers at scale. When you start your brand, you notice you can get customers quite easily. It's quite easy to scale. As you hit deeper pockets of the market where colder traffic is sitting, it gets consistently harder to win there because Meta has incredible data, so does Google as well, on what your ideal buyers are or the smallest pocket of buyers that are the most ready to buy. But as soon as you've burnt through those people, your ad spend starts being deployed on deeper pockets of the market that aren't ready to buy. Now, your ability to convince someone that has no idea who you are as a brand, they don't even have the problem that you're trying to solve, not even aware of a solution, your ability to convert all those people into customers is what will determine how scalable your brand is and ultimately how successful. So the demand engine allows us to predictably turn cold traffic into customers at scale. And it consists of 4 core pillars that's built on buyer psychology, and that is status, trust, value, and desire. We understood that a buyer or transaction to take place from human to human, there needs to be a status gain, meaning the buyer needs to feel like they are gaining something in a status level from this transaction. There needs to be trust. They need to trust that your business, your brand, your product, or the person, the face of this can actually get them the result and is not trying to scam them. Value as the third piece. There needs to be a clear value exchange. What are they getting in exchange for their dollar? And desire. The buyer needs to have a desire to get the outcome that you're selling or you're proposing. And we've also built 8 creative pillars around that consistently create a transaction. I'm not going to go into those in detail now, but these are the 8 pillars that we build all our creative system off the back of. And we know when we're deploying 300 plus ad creatives a week, which we actively do for clients right now, they're all built around these 8 pillars. And we know at scale, we are able to consistently convert cold traffic into buyers. And a creative system or the demand engine for your own brand is incredibly important. If you've run any amount of spend on Meta, you know how incredibly important having the right creatives, sell the right thing, overcome the right objections into the right customer journey, landing page, everything like that, how critical that is in allowing you to efficiently and consistently hit that CAC threshold at scale. Now, super quick before we move on to the next step, if you're getting any value from this video, then I'll strongly encourage you to click the link in the description where you can get in direct contact with me and my team. If you run a business, a direct-to-consumer brand, and you're looking to scale to $1 million a month, and you want the right team in your corner, or you want someone to deploy the system that I'm explaining in this video, how it makes a lot of sense and how you can scale much faster than you are currently, then fill out the form, get in touch, and we can have a genuine conversation on whether we can actually help you hit your goals faster than you currently are on your current trajectory. Now let's get back to the video. Now the fourth and final step to the system is aggressively turn up ad spend. Once you know your end CAC ceiling, you know what channels you're gonna find these customers on, and the creative infrastructure that's gonna find you the right customers at the right price at scale, you essentially have your guardrails on to turn ad spend up as fast as you possibly can. And I'm talking adding $10, $20 a day to your ad spend per campaign. I'm talking 20%, 50%, even 100% increases in daily ad spend budget on a daily basis. So long as your parameters are in place and you have the right media buying team in place to tell you to run your ad account, essentially, you run all the way up to $1 million a month. And of course, things are gonna break along the way. You might hit fulfillment bottlenecks, stock runouts, creative fatigue, all those things are part of the process. But essentially, you now have the system to deploy into your business and you have the guardrails to tell your team, this is exactly how we're gonna scale past $1 million a month. And that's the whole system. 4 steps. It's exactly what McDonald's has used to grow into a global powerhouse it is today. It's exactly what all the big, greatest businesses in the world use. And I'm hoping that this gives you an insight that you can deploy into your business right now. I hope that was valuable, and I'll see you on the next video.